Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. With the Spain News Update, we'll have a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here today in Spain, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times. Before I begin, a big thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the Super Thanks option on YouTube, longer term supporters on Patreon, or the new channel members. Thank you very much for that support. Now, straight into the news, and it's a big day for the Spanish royal family because King Felipe VI is celebrating today 10 years on the throne. As we can read here, Felipe VI celebrates the 10th anniversary of his coronation. The royal palace in Madrid will host the main ceremonies. King Felipe VI celebrates this Wednesday the 10th anniversary of his coronation on a day marked by acts of homage, with the royal palace as the central stage, where he will be accompanied by Queen Letizia, the Princess of Asturias, and the Infanta Sofia. Service, commitment, and duty is the motto chosen by the monarch for the celebration of this anniversary, with an emblem that integrates on one side of the coat of arms of Felipe VI, although not complete, and the legend more centered. The events to mark the first decade of his reign, which will continue into the night, include a military parade, the awarding of the Civil Merit to 19 Spaniards for their services to others, a lunch at the Royal Palace, which will be attended by the Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, and in the evening, a concert and a show in which images will be projected onto the facade. So there we go, a big day for the Spanish king, celebrating 10 years on the throne here in Spain. And let's be honest, it hasn't been an easy 10 years for the Spanish king, especially when it comes to the relationship with his father, who, as we know, doesn't live in the country anymore and has been caught up in various scandals over the last decade or so. So 10 years for Felipe, or Philip VI of Spain, and we'll see if he gets another 10 years. Now, Spain's second vice president and Minister for Labour, Yolanda Díaz, is at it again, and she has said that she wants to reduce the working week here in Spain, bring it down from 40 hours, where it sits currently, to 37.5 hours, and she wants to get this done and dusted by summer. As we can read here, the government and its social partners are meeting to seek an agreement on the reduction of working hours before summer. The Ministry of Labour and Social Economy has called the social partners to a meeting this Monday to make progress in the search for an agreement on the reduction of working hours, one of Yolanda Díaz's main objectives in this legislature, and which she wants to have closed before the summer, if possible with the agreement of trade unions and employers. Díaz announced a few days ago that the reduction in working hours will take cruising speed from tomorrow. The social dialogue table on the reduction of working hours is already at cruising speed, the minister assured. The question is whether the bosses want to put themselves on the same level as their country, said the vice president, who believes that it is time to reduce the working day after 40 years of being frozen. The government's aim is to bring the working week down from the current 40 hours to 37.5 hours without any reduction in wages by 2025 in two stages, to 38.5 hours this year and to 37.5 hours in 2025. So there we go, the government and its social partners trying to get an agreement on the reduction of the working week here in Spain. And if you're not familiar with the concept of social partners, it's a euphemism for trade unions and employers associations. So is Spain ready for a reduction in its working week? Well, the government and trade unions seem to think so, but employers associations are against the idea. But as we know, the government doesn't care what those people think, and I reckon the government will get this across the line with the support of those groups or not. And the final piece of news we'll look at today related to the tourism sector here in Spain, and a recent study predicts that Spain will exceed 90 million foreign tourists by the end of 2024. Airports full of travellers, hotels with no free rooms, and beach bars working at full capacity. That would be a good summary of what is expected for Spanish tourism in 2024. Specifically, the gross domestic product, GDP, for tourism will grow by 5%, double the rate forecast for the economy as a whole, thanks to the more than 90 million visitors that will arrive in the country during the year, according to the sector report published on Wednesday by CaixaBank Research. This robust upturn will be possible thanks to the recovery in the purchasing power of European households in the context of lower inflation, and although domestic tourism will remain at historically high levels, its weight in the overall rate is lower because a reactivation is expected in Spanish outbound tourism. So there we go, 90 million international visitors is the prediction according to that study from CaixaBank Research. European households, as we saw, have more money to spend, and no doubt many people will spend that money on a holiday. And another interesting thing that we saw from that study is that many Spaniards will be heading out of the country for their holidays this summer, something that a lot of people haven't been doing since the pandemic, of course. So more international tourists coming into Spain and more Spaniards heading out to spend their holidays at an overseas destination. Now let's have a look at some comments that have been left on the channel recently. One here from Ken: there was a 12-year difference between my younger siblings, and it was weird that while I moved out at 21, they stayed until their late 20s, but I never had to deal with who's spending the night weekend with me. LOL, in my late 20s while in Spain, I remember having to sneak into my dates' homes as not to disturb their parents. Awkward. Yeah, Ken, thanks for the comment, and related to an article that we saw yesterday, this one here, which said that young people in Spain under the age of 35 are the ones who feel closest to their parents emotionally in the whole EU. And I said that there are probably a couple of reasons why young people here are closer to their parents than their European cohorts, and one of the reasons is that people here tend to live with their parents for a lot longer than people in other European countries. Here in Spain, it's still quite common to see young people in their late 20s, early 30s living at home. And that means, obviously, that if you were dating a young Spaniard, like Ken pointed out there in his comment, you might have to sneak in and out of the parents' apartment every now and again. It happened to me back in the day too, and I'm sure that there are lots of people out there that can share similar experiences. Right? One here from Ida: love your channel, you tell it like it is. I also agree with not talking about politics or religion. It's best to keep it to yourself when you are out and about, but there are many that don't know that etiquette. When we finally move to Spain, because we plan to, I will not even bother with politics, since here in the USA, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Ida, thanks for the comment and some good advice. Two topics to avoid here in Spain: politics and religion, especially if you don't know the people you are talking to very well. However, over the last 25 years living in this country, I have heard many Spaniards express their opinions on those two topics. I don't always agree, but I listen to what they have to say. And that's the most important thing. Everybody is entitled to have an opinion on those two topics. Everybody is entitled to share their opinion on those two topics. You can agree with somebody's opinion or you can disagree with somebody's opinion, but the most important thing is to respect that person's opinion, because once we lose respect for each other, it all goes downhill fairly quickly. But hey, that's just my take on it. I'd love to hear yours in the comment section below. One here from Penrose: the England game was starting at 9 PM Spanish time, so the English customers would probably have eaten by then and not thought they were taking up dining space. Yeah, Penrose, thanks for the comment, and related to a story that I told during yesterday's live stream about how recently I was up in the city of Santander having dinner in a restaurant, bar restaurant type of place, around 9:15 PM. Of course, the England game was up on the television in the corner, and a group of people, about 5 people, 3 guys and 2 girls from England, came into the bar restaurant and said if they could sit down and have a drink. The waiter tried to explain that 9 PM is peak dining time here in Spain, and if they were going to sit down, they would have to order food, and handed them 5 or 6 menus. I then finished my meal, so I didn't see what the end result was, whether they ordered food or not, but as Penrose points out, 9 PM is a little bit late for the average English person to be having dinner. But they were a fairly well-mannered group, I will say, and no doubt sat down, ordered some food, and had a great night at that establishment. One here from Marco: illegal immigration is small in the UK compared to legal immigration. We need the latter to keep our public services going. It's a big conundrum. Yeah, Marco, thanks for the comment, and you're right, this issue is a big conundrum. In fact, I would say that it is a huge conundrum and difficult to find the right balance. Legal immigration, necessary of course to keep the economy ticking over, and illegal immigration virtually impossible to stop. Some people think that stopping illegal immigration is as easy as turning off a tap, but unfortunately it's not, and it very quickly turns into a hot political topic which is exploited by ruthless politicians. One here from Etienne: at last someone who called him or herself an immigrant not an expat. Yeah, at the end, thanks for the comment and referring to another comment that was left by somebody who said that they went from Ireland to the USA and now Spain and called themselves an immigrant and not an expat. An expat is a word that for some reason seems to ruffle some people's feathers. I don't know why, but it does. But the fact of the matter is that if you move from your country of origin to go and live in another country, you are an immigrant, but you are also expatriated. Because as we can see here from these definitions, expatriate, someone who does not live in their own country, and immigrant, a person who has come to a different country in order to live there permanently. So why do some people get so worked up over semantics? One here from Junuk, why spend on defense? No one wants to invade Spain. Yeah, Junuk, thanks for the comment and good question. Why spend money on defense when nobody wants to invade your country? Unfortunately, I don't have the answer to such a difficult and complex question, so I'm going to open that question up to the community. Why do we spend money on defense? Let me know in the comment section below. And the final comment here from Shangen, I always called it a Kodak moment. Yeah, Shangen, thanks for the comment and referring to something that I said yesterday. We were talking about old photography styles before the digital photography revolution hit and the days when people used rolls of film to capture their special moments. For any young people watching the video today, I have probably just blown your mind because you can't imagine a world without digital photography, but it did exist. And sometimes you would get your pictures back after having them developed and you realize that you left the lens cap on. But fortunately, nowadays with digital photography, that doesn't happen anymore because you can check to see what the quality of your image is like immediately. And whether you called it a Kodak moment back in the day or a Fuji moment back in the day or a Polaroid moment back in the day, we all knew what it was. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, please, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.